Hello! Today on Tarot and the Tea, episode 3, we're going to do a few more tips and tricks to reading the tarot. So I want to first of all thank Spirit for being with us today and take a couple deep breaths just to kind of center ourselves. So thank you so much for joining me again. I'm having a blast doing these videos. And yesterday, after my second episode, I thought of a few more things that I wanted to share with you about tips and tricks on reading tarot cards. So I've heard a lot of people say that you need to be gifted a tarot deck, and I don't believe that. I actually think that you're more likely to use your tarot deck if you really love the pictures on it. And so I think it's more important to be called to a tarot deck and decide that you want that tarot deck and use that deck, because I know for me, sometimes even when I get a new tarot deck, I definitely want to look at all the pictures and kind of see if I get the vibes of the deck. And I'm looking for, the pictures and how they relate to the card, and trying to, figure out what the artist was thinking with that card and how it relates to that card. So I think that probably is way more important than having someone gift you a tarot deck. I actually collect tarot decks, so a lot of times I will buy one just because I really enjoy the pictures on it. There are some basic manners with getting a reading. I think everyone should be aware that some tarot readers do not want you to touch their deck. I wouldn't touch someone else's deck, but I don't really have a problem with other people touching my deck. In fact, a lot of times when I do in-person readings, I will have the person cut the deck so that I can get their energy in the deck. Although I don't believe that that's necessary. I kind of feel like it gives them a little more feeling of being involved. So when I'm doing an in-person reading, a lot of times I will have them cut the deck before a reading. But it's not something that I think matters. But again, just keep that in mind that some people really do have a problem with that. And so just out of basic manners, ask permission before you touch someone's deck. Also, when getting a reading, I want to remind you that tarot doesn't really give you solid answers like yes or no, or it more directs you to the feelings or the energy around a situation. Also, sometimes the deck really wants to give you a message despite your question. So you could be having a relationship question, but all that comes up is a bunch of pentacles or some other cards. And obviously that means that the Spirit is trying to tell you that, maybe instead of whatever your question was, you should focus on this, because this is really what's going on in your life. And you may want to pay attention to that. So pay attention to the overall theme of the reading. Many times a bunch of one suit will come up, and then that gives you an idea of what the focus is, regardless of what the question is you ask. So again, remember that, wands are about action, and pentacles are about money, swords are about feelings a lot of times, and cups are usually about relationships. So, if you're seeing quite a few of one particular suit in a reading, you want to really pay attention to that, because a lot of times that can just be telling you that, hey, I know that you want to ask this question, but maybe you should pay more attention to this right now in your life. In my last episode, I spoke about how the tarot deck is set up as a fool's journey, or the person being read's journey. So today I'm going to talk about the major arcana and the journey through it. So this helps you to memorize the cards and understand what the reading is trying to say. Each card has key words that we can remember and then elaborate on based on the other cards in the spread, or even the reader's intuition. So again, do not ignore your intuition when you're doing a reading. A lot of times Spirit is telling you what to say because it fits that person a little bit more. And there's, a lot of wiggle room in those key words that kind of you can interpret in a different way if it fits that reading. So the pictures help as well. A lot of times, I would say in most tarot decks, the pictures kind of go along with the meaning of the card, and particularly in the Rider-Waite deck where it's got all the symbolisms in it for those cards. So, you know, a lot of times you can look in the background and see, you know, if there's like rough water or mountains or a castle or something like that. A lot of times that has some meaning as well. So you want to kind of pay attention to those. And again, use your intuition to kind of see what you're feeling is the card's trying to tell you. Even in decks with different pictures, many of the same aspects or symbols, and they kind of give you an overall feeling or mood in that card. Example, the Devil and the Sun. The Devil card is, you know, looks like the devil, whereas the Sun looks really happy and, you know, big sun, and usually there's like a baby or something on it that's just like, yay. So you can kind of see, you know, what the mood of the card is based on the pictures in the card. And so you definitely want to pay attention to that as well. When I first started, I actually wrote out some of the keywords, and you can even print them out because you can find them anywhere. Actually, the 1 through 10 in the minor arcana are very similar through the 1 to the 1 through 10 in the major arcana. So a lot of times, you know, if you can memorize the major arcana, you can kind of have an idea of what those same numbers are meaning in the minor arcana as well. And again, I would maybe find lists or something like that and even print it out and have it by you when you're doing your reading so that you can kind of look and see, oh, okay, this is what this means. Also, there's some great books out there. My personal favorite when I first started was the Tarot Bible, and I'm not sure who wrote it, but I really loved the layouts that it offered as well as the meanings of the cards. But there's tons out there that you can definitely look at. And I still will look up readings. I've been doing tarot now for over 15 years. But a lot of times when I pull some cards, I kind of will be like, well, I don't really understand why this is telling me this. And sometimes looking up a meaning and getting a different perspective will give you kind of an idea. Sometimes I'll even read a line and I'll be like, oh my gosh, that is what it's telling me, or that's going on in my life. So I think even as a seasoned tarot reader, it's a good idea to continue to look up those meanings and maybe get some different perspectives on what those things stand for. And I also think that some people fear certain cards, and I just want to remind you that the tarot cards are not to be taken literally. It's more about the energy of the situation. So for instance, death is usually a good card, meaning you are letting go of things that no longer align you or bringing in new beginnings. It's like really like you're letting go of a situation that no longer fits your life and moving on to a new beginning of a more authentic journey. So I think that, every card has a good and a bad or a shadow side. I wouldn't call it a bad side, but a shadow side. And so a lot of times when you get a reverse card, it's more leaning towards the shadow side. But some cards are good kind of both ways. For instance, I believe the Four of Wands is usually about joy. I think when it's upside down or reversed, sometimes it's meaning that you're not paying attention to the joy in your life. So, there's different interpretations, and definitely when you're having a reading, you want to pay attention to what the cards are saying as a whole, so that you can kind of get an idea of what it's leaning towards. But there really shouldn't be any fear in getting a tarot reading or certain cards coming out, because really it's just telling you, things to pay attention to, or things that even I'm sad, the cards like Three of Swords, where it's, you know, about sadness and everything like that, a lot of times you already know that. You already have that idea in your head. So when the Three of Swords comes up, it's just kind of a confirmation that you're going through a rough time and you're really in your emotions. And, you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because remember that with pain comes growth. So I know that's hard to do when you're in the middle of the pain. I know personally that that's really hard to do, but at the same time, it's reminding you, you know, to really feel your emotions and not push them down, because then they just fester and turn into, you know, a bigger problem than they are. So again, it's really just reminding you about things or feelings or stuff like that that are going on in your life. So I don't want you to take it as, you know, an end all be all of like, this is what this means, because it really is an interpretation or an intuition that kind of goes along with that. Also pay attention to all the cards that are drawn. Sometimes they are saying the same thing in different ways. And sometimes it's to bring focus on something or to lessen the effect of something else. So say that you have a Tower card and then you also have a Ten of Pentacles. Obviously, those cards are, you know, a tower is like a tower moment where your foundations are crumbling and things are going in your mind badly, like some of the things that you really truly, oh, my light just came off. So, but truly coming from, let's see, what was I trying to say? So like a Ten of Pentacles is talking about money and good vibes with money. So maybe the Tower card is telling you, you know, you lost a job or you're going to lose your job, but actually it's going to work out better for you because you're going to find something that fits you better and pays you better or whatever. So definitely pay attention to, you know, all the cards in the spread, and don't just focus on one that, you know, is a shadow card or something like that, because a lot of times those will be lessened by the other cards in the reading. Or, you know, it can really feel like a Tower moment, and you can have, you know, the Three of Cups and the Tower and death, and really that's meaning, you know, you're really sad about your foundations crumbling, but you're letting go and moving on and starting a new beginning. So I think that when you look at those aspects of a reading, you're kind of going to get a bigger picture. I also believe that you play with your deck. When you play with your deck or do readings, the more in tune you are with your deck. I've even heard of people carrying their decks around or putting them in a little bag and sharing the energy with your deck so that it kind of gets to know you. But I don't know that that's necessarily needed. I think obviously the more you play with the deck, the more the deck is going to get to know you, and you're going to get to know the deck. And I have even noticed that when I do my personal readings, sometimes it will give me certain cards because it knows that I think of, for instance, when I do a personal reading, Queen of Cups comes in a lot, and I know that then it's talking directly to me, because the Queen of Cups has come up so many times in my readings that I realize that that's representing me. And I've even had other cards, you know, for like my ex-husband or whatever, where I'm like, oh, it's talking about him or it's talking about that. So you can really kind of get to know your deck and know like those cards that like are telling you a certain thing over and over again. And also I would suggest that if you are getting cards like that, to write them out, maybe have a tarot journal or something like that, so that you can kind of see those patterns and get to know those patterns, so that you can go, oh, okay, you know what, this card keeps coming up, this is what it's trying to tell me. Those are the tips and tricks for today. Thank you for joining me. I do offer readings and classes on tarot, so let me know if you need anything or need any insights in your life. I'd be happy to talk to you. I don't reach out to people and tell them they need a reading, so don't be fooled if somebody comes in and says something about me giving a reading or whatever, because I don't do that. I wait for you to come to me. But I also want to thank Spirit for being with us today. And I love you guys tons. And I know this week has been really emotional, and it's probably going to continue. I'm probably going to do a reading on Sunday for the upcoming week, so watch for that. And I will see you again soon. Thank you. Have a great day.